Sorry about that. Welcome back to a new season and another episode of Reading to the 246. My name is Karen Wall, but you can call me Auntie Karen. Reading to the 246 is a space where children of all ages, including us adults, can learn facts about Barbados, islands across the region, and the world. Reading to the 246 has some new exciting episodes planned for our readers, as we will be again focusing on stories by our local, regional, and international creatives. This Sunday's creative has brought back childhood memories, I'm sure, to many of his readers, as he seeks to share through his series of books life as it was or still is growing up in Barbados. Welcome, Mario Herbert.
I thank you very much for having me this evening.
Mario Herbert is a multifaceted Barbadian author. He holds a firm belief that real life, especially in the Caribbean, is filled with enough colorful and exciting experiences to fuel great fiction. As such, his writing has always pulled on real life experiences to provide grounded fiction. Mario has chosen to focus on short stories. His books each consist of 3 stories, which are designed to entertain independently, but also fit together to tell a larger, cohesive tale. Mario's books are conceived as part of a series. Similar to the short stories within, each book in the series is designed to entertain independently. When all the books in a series are put together, however, the series reveals a much larger, cohesive story. Mario's present works focus on comedic, coming-of-age tales, which not only entertain, but provide an ultimately positive message or lesson. With 8 books presently planned, spanning 2 series, Mario is just getting started on his literary journey. Welcome again to Reading to the 246, Mario. Share with our readers how you came up with the concept behind the series of books you've written.
Well, I think it was probably in like 2007, I participated in a writer's workshop. And in order to pass the workshop, I had to submit a short story. So the first story in the first book that was written for that workshop, and it was very well received. Everybody was like, "When are we gonna get more?" But it was one of those things where it's like you have a thing that is good, you know it is good, you say it would be nice to do more, but it never actually happens because it takes you starting, right? So a few years back, I kind of just said, look, there is no point having a thing that's good to sit down on it. And every story starts at one word. And so I just started to write more. And I found that it was pretty easy. It flowed well. And yeah, it ended up going from one book to a much larger series.
How has been the response by Barbadians or even by persons across the world to your book?
It has gone really, really well. I think based upon the fact that what I've written is grounded, right? It is all based, like every single experience, every single event that is in any book. It is rooted in some fact. It is rooted in some truth, in some real experience that either me or that some person that I know has had, and I think that translates well, where it captivates persons more, like to read a thing that feels so real and feels relatable.
I like that. And the book was indeed relatable. When I saw the image at the front, it kind of reminded me of school days. Not saying that I was ever on one of those buses. Let me put that out there for you. But it did remind me of as a young person growing up, a teenager, similar to the 13-year-old Adrian that we're going to meet today, and seeing that and having those types of experience. Now, as I said, I can see myself in Adrian, and I'm sure some parents anxiously waiting for their children to go through this phase. I love the way how you've captured an intelligent but adventurous teenager on the pages of your book. I really love it. I like the language. Tell us about that because I find you didn't stray away from the language. You still were able to use the language and capture the reader.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very big upon language. I find that that the English language is like so vast, it is so broad, and really and truly, most English speakers use like just a fraction of it. So
Yes.
yeah, so it like just brings a little spice um to throw in language that persons might not always expect.
Mm,
Yeah, so yeah, I am extremely big up an interesting usage of language.
good. When we come back after the break, we'll go right into story time with Mario Herbert as she shares his book from his series, Adrian at Large.
The sun was beating down on the desolate schoolyard like the heat of an oven on a browning loaf. Its rays were unimpeded by clouds, and its heat defied the wind, which blew falling leaves across an eroding driveway. The peace and quiet of that afternoon was only temporary, however, and that was soon proven. The silence was suddenly scattered by the piercing sound of an electronic bell. Coupled with that sound was the roar of 1,000 voices and the boom of 2,000 feet. Adrian stepped out of his classroom, almost in a panic. He was still trying to make a crucial decision. Try to board the popular bus, or board the unpopular one he usually took. It won't be easy to get a seat in the popular bus, he thought to himself, but all of the popular children will be in it, and I so need to change my image. He was suddenly snapped back into the present by the realization that the stampede of his peers was almost upon him. He knew that he had to make a decision quickly. He looked around and saw a multitude of children rushing towards him, and the decision was made. Some had already passed him, and he couldn't afford to let the others catch him. He started moving, fueled by anxiety and driven by determination. I have to get into that bus, he thought as he ran. He reached the driveway and could see his target parked just beyond the gate. It glistened brightly in the intense sun and was adorned with spoilers and other accessories. There were children already inside. How did they get down here so quickly? He wondered. His sense of wonder was soon multiplied as he realized the stampede had reached him. He tried to increase his pace, but the bag on his back felt as though it was increasing in weight by the second. Also, he had to be careful not to trip in any potholes as the driveway was in a state of gross disrepair. Suddenly, a girl who was running next to him tripped and stumbled. She tried to steady herself, but she was moving too quickly. As Adrian continued to run, he could see her falling forward, failing to regain stability. He could feel her pain as her body connected with the worn pavement. He could feel her humiliation as she rolled slightly down the drive. Then he was aghast at the fact that the footsteps behind him did not stop. Oh my gosh, they're trampling her, he thought. His compassion was short-lived, however, as his eyes fell on the bus again. He was almost there. He just had to keep his pace, and stability. Finally, he reached the bus, but found he was unable to access the vehicle. The doorway was inundated with children. He tried to push, but did not possess the strength to propel himself through the crowd. Wedged between a rock and a smelly place, he glanced to the right and noticed a few of the bigger children climbing through windows. Oh no, he thought, I'll never get a seat. As the crowd continued to push, Adrian found that he was serendipitously shuttled through the door by little action on his part. Finally, inside the bus, he made a joyous discovery. There was a vacant seat. He knew the chances of getting a seat were infinitesimal at best, and had given up hope. But things had changed. He saw a fifth former about to climb through a window, and he rushed into the vacant seat. The inside of the bus was painted in bright colors with intricate airbrushed artwork. There was a fully airbrushed plaque behind each seat. This served not only to hide the roughness of the underlying upholstery, but they also displayed the name ascribed unto the bus. Adrian found the artwork quite engaging, but the name of the bus sent a shudder down his spine. The name Turbulence was airbrushed behind each seat, and was even featured in the decorative window tint. He told himself that it was just a name, and that the benefits he would derive from the trip would outweigh any turbulence encountered. As the bus became increasingly cramped, Adrian savored his moment of triumph. He had actually defeated the odds and was seated in the popular bus with the popular children. He was convinced that all eyes were on him. Everyone is seeing me in this bus, he thought, and they're probably wondering if I am really as uncool as they thought. He remembered all the times that he had endured ridicule at school, just because he had different interests. Now he had an opportunity to show his peers that he was in tune with the same things they were. He had entered their world and fared better than some of them, for he had a seat, while many of the regulars were standing. Unfortunately, Adrian's triumph was short-lived. An unusually large fifth former named Ricardo boarded the bus and scanned the interior. His flat face was garnished with a nose like that of a hippo, and his head was matted with thick shrubbery. He was not only large, but remarkably dark. His skin resembled a freshly tarred road. He also had pronounced veins in the area of his eyes that is normally white. His had a pinkish cast, with piercing black pupils, which eventually made eye contact with Adrian. Ricardo displayed the same smile of triumph Adrian had displayed a few moments ago. "Move, little man," he bellowed. Adrian dared not disobey. There were no teachers, no principals, and the prefects were off duty. A bewildered and embarrassed Adrian surrendered the seat to Ricardo and tried to fit into the standing crowd. But the huge bag he was carrying proved problematic. It stood out like a camel's hump and agitated others. An impatient conductor commanded Adrian to pass the bag, which was then haphazardly thrown on top of the engine cover with many others. The engine was positioned at the front of the bus between the driver and the front passenger. Its cover was doubling as an area for bags to be heaped and as a seat. Popular children who failed to secure a seat were afforded the privilege of sitting on the engine. Adrian was dissatisfied with the treatment of his bag, but there was no time to focus on that. He had found himself wedged into the middle of the aisle. There was a boy directly behind him, and a girl had stationed herself in front of him, partially standing on his shoes. He tried to look around him, but apart from the window in front of him, it was impossible to see outside. The conductor came around at the windows and collected the fare. This was the first time Adrian had a chance to examine the conductor's appearance. He was clear, tall, and lanky with unkempt hair. There was a thin line between his shabby, washed-out uniform and a collection of rags. He stood at the window before Adrian, extending his hand for payment. It was difficult for Adrian to access his pockets in this crowd. He managed to squeeze his hand into his pocket and secured his fare, which he had to pass to the conductor via the girl who stood on his shoes. He dared not drop any of it, for he knew that recovery would be impossible. Adrian was displeased with the conditions he was presently subjected to, but soon the engine started and he chose to focus on the ride. After the conductor apologized for the radio being broken, the bus started off with a jolt, and the driver held the first gear for what seemed like forever. Why is he doing that? Thought Adrian. Doesn't he know that he could destroy the gearbox? But the children didn't care about the mechanical health of the vehicle, and they raised a loud roar in approval of the driver's actions. "Hold it, driver, hold it!" they chanted until the engine started to stammer, resulting in even louder shouts of approval. Finally, the driver got down to the business of rail driving, suddenly changing the gears and hurtling down the road at mind-boggling speed. Adrian could barely make out where he was. Everything was a blur outside the window. The children started chanting, "Max it out, driver, maximum." Adrian was white with fear, especially as he couldn't see what was in front of the bus. "I have gone through all of this to be more popular," he thought. "I might as well look the part." He resolved to participate in the chanting. Fueled by the prospect of receiving the acceptance he so craved from his peers, Adrian joined the chant and tried to look as though he was accustomed to such recklessness, but nothing could prepare him for what happened next.
What happened next? What happened next? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love your use of language throughout the book. You didn't, as I said, I love your use of language throughout the book. You didn't shy away from using words that made me want to pick up a dictionary. Was that a deliberate choice on your part?
Yes, it very much was. Growing up, um, I had no choice. I had to read. And lots of the words that I learned were learned from actually reading from authors using words that I had not encountered previously. So I kind of see it as a social obligation as an author that I have to give back what persons gave to me.
Okay, children, go grab your dictionaries. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find the meaning of the word turbulence and then use it in a sentence. You have 1 minute before this mission is terminated. Let's see what our readers are going to do. Are they going to be able to find that dictionary? I have my dictionary. Because old, you know, this dictionary has done some work, Mario. You can see my dictionary has done some work. It's done some work. And I'm sure every school child should have a dictionary in their book. Every school child should have a dictionary instead of their book bag going to school. Because you need, like you said, to be exposed to words so that they're able to find their meaning and share those meanings. I know we're supposed to have a timer up, but if you don't see, let's see who's going to get in. Let's see who is going to get in as soon as that clock strikes 6:22. So for those who are just joining, we're in the middle of a challenge. The children have been tasked with finding their dictionary, finding the word turbulence. Let's see why that word brought fear to Mario's heart. I should have brought fear to Mario's heart, I believe. We're coming down. Oh, I can see my children have read me looking through the dictionary. Everybody's ready to find a word. Let's do alphabetical order. All those things are important. You have to know to use your alphabet. 6:22. No one found the meaning of the word turbulence. Mario, are we going to get to keep those $2 that you promised the reader this evening? Can you show the readers the $2 that they're going to be getting? Can you tell us a little bit about the $2 and the continuation of the two?
Okay, so there is Adrian at Large is what I was reading from just now. And yeah, he's pretty much looking for popularity throughout this whole book. It never ends well. But then there is Adrian at Last, where he actually gets what he's been trying to get in the first book, but then he sort of learns that grass usually looks greener up on somebody else's lawn, but it often isn't. So yes, that is what happens in Adrian at Last. He actually receives it, but that doesn't go too well for him either.
Okay, I saw Margaret Shepherd. She popped up in the chat saying that she's found it. Pierre, I know that's you. Do you want to turn on your mic and tell us what the word turbulence means?
Turbulence means violent and unheard movement.
Violent and
unheard movement.
Okay, violent and uneven movement. So perhaps that means, thank you, Theory. So that means Theory is the winner of our challenge here today. That means Theory is going to get those $2. Oh my gosh, my children are looking at me like, So that means that Theory walks away with Adrian at Large and Adrian at Last. Nice. Now remember, you can also post your responses on our YouTube and our Facebook, Reading to the 246 page. How many books are there in the series? Are there in the series, Mario?
Okay, so for Adrian, there are 4 books. So I have already shown you Large and Last. We should have Adrian at Loggerheads in early November. And next year, we will have Adrian at Liberty, which will round out Adrian's Tales.
Where can we get our hands on your books?
Well, you can currently get both of them from Days Bookstore, Independence Square. You can order directly from me at marioherbert.com. And for international readers, anywhere books are sold, you can find both books.
Okay. Are there any plans to write a new series?
Well, I am glad you asked because There is a new series that is in the works. Well, it ties into Adrian. There is a girl that he's kind of really enamored with. And our readers meet her in Adrian at last, but she is getting her own run. So I am currently working upon 4 books for her, which will tie into events you have read in Adrian's Tales, which will make it 8 books in all.
Nice, nice, nice. I'm looking forward to reading the whole series from Adrian, and then looking forward to that new series as well. When we come back, it's time for a Bajan mashup. Are you ready, Mario?
I hope so.
Okay, here's your first question, Mario. Here's your first question, Mario. What was the make and model of your first cell phone, and do you still have it?
Okay. I don't know if anybody whispered and told you that I am a big phone guy. So the first phone that I ever bought was a silver Motorola C350. In moving, I don't have that phone, but oh, hold on. Yeah, but I keep phones, and I am a BlackBerry dude. So
I have one of those. I had one of
Yeah.
those, I should say.
so I have a Q10, a Z10, a Passport, and I have a Priv. So yeah, and I keep my phones. So yeah,
I just have one.
yeah. Well,
I just have one.
unfortunately, I don't have the C350 from 2003, but I have most of the others.
Oh, I love it. I know your grasp of English is excellent. So let's test out your math. Adrian, along with 50 students, boarded a minibus in Spikestone. In Holtown, 7 students got off and 10 more students boarded. How many people were on the bus when it reached its final destination?
Okay, so Adrian plus 15 students makes 16. And you said 7 got off. That would have made it 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 got on, which would make it 19. So the answer would either be 19 or 20 if you're counting the person driving.
Don't forget the conductor.
Well, okay.
I was being naughty, but your answer is
Well,
correct.
okay, 21.
I was being naughty, but don't forget driver and conductor. But we didn't ask about those. But your first answer was correct, 19. You mentioned you were into comedy in your bio. Please share one of your jokes.
Well, I am not like a stand-up or anything like that, but I find I find humor in like just the regular things that are Barbadiana, which we kind of don't think about. So like I would just give you one example. Often persons I meet from outside Barbados, like they will say that it is really difficult to understand Bajan language, and I say it sounds strange, but it is really not hard. So I had someone was asking the meaning of on it do. So it is on it do and it is op it in are 2 things we say that sound normal here, but everywhere else it is complete madness. And I usually tell them, look, it is fairly simple. We are practicing the thing we are asking for. So if I say open it is what it means, right? Open, OPEN, right? So I am practicing it. I take the open and I open the open. Have OP, a space, EN, and I put the it between. It in. Simple. Right? Very simple. On it do. I undo the undos. Right? You know, UN space DO, and I put the it between it. On it do.
It do.
Simple.
Open it. On it do.
Yeah.
You know, you're saying stuff, but you never realize that you're actually doing it. Now, as I said, your characters are funny. They articulate. What is your favorite Bayesian character?
I would have to say that my favorite Bayesian character is Pearly from Bayesian Bus Stop. Yeah. And I have had the privilege of having the actress that plays her being my landlord for about 6 years.
Nice. I have to meet her. Hi, Pearly. Hi, Pearly. Sweet. Share a tongue twister using Adrian. I came up with one of my own. Adrian ate apple and ale after ably aiding Adam. Not bad.
All right. All right. Don't know if this is gonna twist anybody's tongues, but let's try something like Adrian blushes as he discusses how he rushes and pushes to catch buses.
All right. Has though. I give it to you. Like him, I just totally annihilated mine.
Well, I should say that I am not only an author, but I also rap. So it's kind of inside my wheelhouse to say things that twist tongues.
So you're full creative. Author,
Yeah.
comedy, rapper. Wow.
Yeah.
Hands down. That's it for Bayesian Mashup. Okay, our assignment says for this week goes on the river or behind the post. Who, what, or where am I? Let me go again. Simon says this week goes on the river or behind the post. Who, what, or where am I? One more time for the rule. I can see Mario there trying to figure it out. Oh, he's trying to figure it out. On the river or behind the post. Who, what, or where am I? Who's gonna get that prize next week? Now remember, children and parents, to like, comment, and share our reading to the 246 Facebook and Instagram and YouTube pages. Special thank you to Mario for agreeing to join with us this evening.
Yes, it has indeed been a very enjoyable time. So I thank you for the invitation.
Appreciate it. Now you can visit Mario at marioherbert.com. Let me say it again, www.marioherbert.com. You can also check out our local bookstore days for his book as well. Now, before we go, do you want to share anything with our readers?
I would just like to say that we are in a culture where we watch a lot of stuff, where someone is creating a visual to feed us. But I want to encourage somebody that reading trains your mind to create its own visual. So reading actually opens up your own imagination, your own creativity, and never underestimate your own creativity, because persons often say anybody that has read a book and watched a movie off of that book will always tell you the book was better, because what your imagination creates, that visual your brain creates, is always superior to what anybody can serve you up. So if you aren't reading, you are missing out.
And on that note, readers, as I said, and I always remind you at the end of every show, reading takes you where your imagination can't. Have a great evening, guys. Thanks again, Mario.
No problem. Extremely great being here.